What's up, 412? Before we get into the message today, I just want to say thank you to everyone who voted on my facial hair dilemma. I did decide to shave it. I went against Sav's will. She said don't shave it, but I locked myself in the bathroom, cut it all off. Thankfully, it's been about a week, and I have a little bit of scruff, and I'll be back to normal very soon. I just couldn't take it. I felt like a goofball. I don't know. I just felt like not myself. I couldn't handle it. Had to shave it off and start all over it. But thank you to everyone who voted. If you voted, keep it. Sorry, I didn't. So, with that being said, we're going to jump into our third and final week of this series. It's called Popular, and everything about this series has been about influence because, quote unquote, only popular people have influence, and that is absolutely not true. If this is your first time hearing one of the popular messages, I will give you the definition of influence. Influence is the ability to have an effect on someone else to impact things like their behavior, thoughts, or choices. So, popular people aren't the only ones to have influence. You and I can have influence right now. And you know what? Our choices determine how we influence people. If we make good choices, we're going to influence them for the better. If we make bad choices, we're going to influence them for the worse, and it could cost us the influence that we've gained. We could lose it by the bad choices that we make. Trust me, I know. I've made bad choices. I've lost influence in people's lives. But not just me. One story that we're going to look at today in the Bible, in the book of Luke, is a story about Peter. And a lot of you probably know where we're going to go with this, but if you don't, Peter was one of the 12 disciples. Jesus handpicked him. He was one of Jesus' best friends. He was close to him. He spent all the time with him through Jesus' ministry. And then Jesus is arrested, and he's being taken to trial. And Peter falls in the crowd because he wants to know where they're taking Jesus, because he's thinking, man, I've done all these things with Jesus. I know Jesus. He's one of my best friends. What are they gonna do to him? They're probably gonna do to me. So he's going to figure out what's gonna happen. And he's in this big crowd of people. And we're gonna pick it up in Luke 22, 56 and 57. A servant girl saw him there in the firelight. She looked closely at him and said, "This man was with him," meaning Peter was with Jesus. But he denied it. "Woman, I don't know him," Peter said. So, in the middle of this crowd, this girl yells out, "You were with Jesus," and he straight up lied to her face and said, "I don't even know that guy," which he definitely knows him. So, if you know the story, you know what I'm about to say, but if you don't, the story goes from bad to worse, because not only did one person call Peter out, two more came up, and Peter denied Jesus 3 times. A man that had just spent all this time, seen everything Jesus had done, walked with him, talked with him, been one of the closest people to get to know Jesus, just denied him 3 times, lied to 3 different people. And you know, that could have cost him all the influence that he'd gained through his time with Jesus. But thankfully, Jesus doesn't allow our mistakes to be the end of our story. If that was the case, my story would have been over a long time ago. But because of him and the way that he sees our mistakes, he allows us to keep moving forward, because Jesus sees our mistakes differently. He doesn't see them the same way that I view my own mistakes, or that people view my mistakes, or, vice versa, however you want to say that. He views all of our mistakes from a different point of view. Thankfully. So no matter what we've done in the past, we can love and follow Jesus right here in the present. Our mistakes and sins have been paid for. Like, fast forward in that story, when Jesus goes to the cross, that's where he pays for our sins. And we can ask God for the forgiveness that we need, because Jesus bought that forgiveness for us. And because we're forgiven, because we've asked Jesus into our heart, he's forgave us of our sins, we can move forward on a new path, step by step, like I was talking about last week, gaining back the influence that we feel like we might have lost. I know that I felt like I've lost influence before, like I said earlier, but this is so true. Thankfully, Jesus doesn't see my mistakes the way I see my mistakes, and He's allowed me to move forward. He's allowed me to continue and grow and get to know Him deeper each and every day, and He can do that for you. So I hope this encourages you. One last point for this week. We're going to end the series on this. Jesus doesn't allow our mistakes to be the end of our story. Man, that's good. But I just want to say I miss you guys. And I know Sav feels the same way. We can't wait to be back and spend time with you and talk to you and play games and hear all the stories that you've made over this weird and crazy time. But we're praying, seeking God on when we can come back, listening to all the people that we're getting direction from, our leaders, and we're just waiting patiently to whenever we can come back and be with you guys. But until then, we love you. Have a great week.